Hey, just a quick note before the video starts. My next video has been taking a lot longer than I expected it to, so I decided to release just the Taxi Chaos portion of the video as I work towards finishing the rest. So that'll explain why this video is structured in the way it is. With that being said, please enjoy. Let's start with the Black Sheep of the collection, brought to us by the same people who released that chicken game on the PS5, Taxi Chaos. Now immediately, this being included might be a bit odd. Taxi Chaos isn't a Sega developed title, this is a spiritual successor to the Crazy Taxi franchise. Why talk about some random indie game? Well, as it turns out, Sega actually published the title in Japan, so I count that as an endorsement. And when else am I going to talk about this game? So starting out the game, we agreed with something very special. A loading screen. And not just any loading screen, a crazy loading screen. 1 minute and 3 seconds of intense anticipation coursing through my veins, so extreme that I can feel myself succumbing to the insanity. But probably not in the way the developers intended. Getting into the menu, we have 3 modes on offer: Arcade, Pro Mode, and Free Roam. Let's start with the Arcade mode since that's the real meat of the game. We have the choice between 2 characters, and rather than each one having their own unique cars like in Crazy Taxi, you have a menu full of cars to unlock instead, which is a nice touch, giving some reward for repeated gameplay aside from just a score on the leaderboard. Sounds great. Let's experience the chaos that this game has in store.
You know, it's faster if you go by Fifth Avenue.
It's Crazy Taxi, alright? You see people standing in a circle with a colored marker above them to represent distance. You park near them to pick them up, then drive to the destination within the given time, with an arrow on top of the screen to help guide you to the location. The faster you are, the more time and money you earn. Try to get as many people to their destinations as possible within the time limit. Classic arcade gameplay. This game obviously stays very close to its original formula, and it even has a jump from Crazy Taxi 2, which is a nice touch. Unfortunately, because this game's very exploitable combo system, you could literally just go to the destination and spam jump in order to get a frankly ridiculous combo. But you see, I'm actually a master at this game, since if you drive against the wall and spam jump, you can get big money. The next mode is Pro Mode, which is the same as Arcade mode except you don't have the arrow at the top of the screen, so you have to rely on the location name and image the game gives you. Naturally, this mode is more challenging in Arcade since it relies more on you knowing the map, but thankfully the green box that appears on the location is still there, so it's still fairly playable. Finally, the last mode is Free Roam, so it serves more as an area to practice the gameplay and mechanics and a mode you would actually play for fun. Yeah, Taxi Chaos is pretty similar to Crazy Taxi, but there is something I noticed the more I played this. I began to get a sensation known as boredom and a sense of disappointment, and I wasn't really sure why at first. I mean, this is a Crazy Taxi, right? I like Crazy Taxi. Why didn't this click for me? I was curious, so I decided to boot up the original Crazy Taxi to find out. You're gonna love this! It finally hit me what was missing, the energy. There is something to be said about how crazy Crazy Taxi really is. It isn't just a basic delivery game, it's a Crazy Taxi. Its unrivaled chaotic gameplay is some of the most fun arcade game experiences I've ever had. The way you fly through the streets at insane speeds while that late 90s punk rock blasts in your ears, it's perfection. In contrast, Taxi Chaos feels really flat. You have a really slow acceleration for some reason, and your top speed is actually really slow as well. For a game of chaos in the title, it's pretty tame honestly. As for the music, I mean, it sounds pretty good if this was a Game Boy Advance roller rink game. What's also missing is the memorable cast of characters. In Crazy Taxi there is BD Joe, Axel, and the ones that no one uses, who all spelled out one-liners, BD Joe especially.
Party time!
Compare this to Taxi Chaos, we have these 2 posers that barely say anything in this game, and when they do it's such riveting dialogue as, all in a day's work. Wow, interesting. They weren't even animated in an interesting way. Half the time they just stare forward looking dead inside. Honestly, I might think they aren't even paying attention to the road.
All in a day's work.
The biggest thing missing from this game, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned it yet, is Crazy Box. This was the best part of the console ports of Crazy Taxi. Crazy Box, or Triangle and X for the sequels, for those of you who do not know, was a mode where it was a series of challenges you had to complete within a set amount of time, which not only were extremely fun, but they also acted as a tutorial to learn some of the deeper mechanics of the game, like drifting and the Crazy Boost. If you complete a row of these challenges, you even unlock the harder one that makes you truly master the mechanics of the game in order to complete.
Woo!
It's a very rewarding and overall great little side mode. Unfortunately, all mechanics that are usually taught here are completely gone in Taxi Chaos. Drifting, gone. Quick parking, gone. The only one that sort of returns is the boost, but it's been so downgraded that's not even useful really. The original boost was a risk versus reward mechanic that gave players a nearly instant speed boost if they managed to properly input it without losing speed, which helped gain momentum quickly after stopping and made you zoom across the map even faster, to make some of the tighter time windows for destinations possible if you were skilled enough. Taxi Chaos's version requires zero skill and can only be done at a standstill, which has a very slow acceleration and takes forever to slow down if you happen to be in a boost. So if there is a passenger you want to get to that's near the destination you just came from, your only option is to slowly drive towards them or just ram into a wall next to them and hope that you stop. The arcade mode is also complete garbage since it's just a set timer and that's it. Picking up customers and getting a good clear time does nothing to actually increase the timer, so it's so much harder to rack up a lot of customers and get a good score. Even if the customer's timer in a game shows like 40 seconds or whatever, if the in-game timer runs out, then that's it, the round is over. Which kind of ruins any of the original arcade fun it could have had despite the weaker mechanics. All of this combined make Taxi Chaos become a very slow and boring slog. Whenever I play arcade mode in Crazy Taxi Original, I can get over a dozen people on a good run. In Taxi Chaos, I'll get maybe 5 or 6 if I'm lucky. On top of that, the Switch port of this game runs like trash. It looks like it's 480p the entire time, and the game has several frame rate hiccups, which are even worse in portable mode. The signature questionably patented arrow doesn't even work correctly either, since the game seems to point you in whatever random direction it sees fit, only snapping in the correct direction once you've already passed the turn, requiring you to slow and waste even more time. This game really is a massive disappointment, and before you try to say that I'm being too harsh on a small team of developers, Crazy Taxi on Steam cost $8. How much do you think Taxi Chaos costs? 35. Yes, 35 whole USD on the Switch. Almost the price of a mid-tier game from a major dev team. Yeah, this game is unforgivable. The worst part is that the Steam version of this game is actually $10 cheaper, which is still way too much, but that means they're charging more for this broken port, which is actually downright diabolical. And to make things even worse, after the game release, Sega publicly stated that they never had any involvement with this game. They straight up lied to promote their game, also meaning I wasted my entire time! In fact, it makes me so mad that for the rest of this video, I'm going to use the Crazy Taxi license ranks for each game. This game is not very good, please don't buy it. These devs understand Crazy Taxi is about as well as the publishers can spell its name on their website.
Alright, it's time to check out how you did today. Now let's take a look. Class E license. No, not good enough. You need some practice. Go on.
They straight up lied to promote their game, also meaning I wasted my entire time! Okay, that should be good. That should be good.